Okay, so hello. Right here, these are the notes that we took in class. So again, if you were in the Batman group, this would look very familiar. If you were absent, you can pause the video whenever you want and kind of take a look at all these steps here. So just to help you guide your notes, this is step 1, step 2, step 3. Where did we have step 4? Step 4, and then step 5. Okay, and the whole purpose of us doing this, where are we going, right? Our goal is to figure out, okay, we have all these points. How can we create an equation with using only those points? Okay, so a key thing here, which I'm going to jump into in a second, is realizing if we have 3 points, we can have the highest possibility of the degree to be is 2. If we have 4 points, the highest possibility of the degree is 3. And the same thing for if you had 5 points given, the highest possibility you could have is 4, right? So then we're going to move forward, and I'm going to do the second problem in this video. Okay, so again, if you need this set of notes, come check with me, email me, take notes of this, and I can walk through this with you on a one-on-one basis. Okay, so we are going to go right into this problem. Okay, so right here, it says that it has a degree of 3. So this is our clue that tells us that it's going to be a cubic, right? So it's like some polynomial, and we have to figure out all these other pieces, some polynomial, and it happens to be cubic. So this is a cubic. So go ahead and annotate your notes and say this is a cubic polynomial. And because it's a cubic polynomial, we can set up the structure. So the structure for this is it's some polynomial p. So I'm going to write it like this. So we have p of x is equal to ax cubed, because it's the highest degree of 3, plus bx squared plus cx plus d. And d, or whatever value or whatever variable you have that is always your last, is called your constant. Okay, and usually this is your y-intercept, usually, okay, when you set up your equations like this. Now, think of this like a puzzle, okay? Our end goal is to figure out what is the equation, but then we want to figure out what are the little pieces that we need. We need to know what A is. We don't know what that is. We want to know what B is. Don't know what that is. We want to know what C equals to, and we want to know what D equals to. Okay, D, or the y-intercept, is usually a lot easier to find if they already gave you a point where x is 0. And in this case, they have. So right here where it says p0 equals -2, so right there. That's also known as, let's say that we have, that's just saying like when x is equal to 0, your y is -2. So we can already say that we can solve this. We can say that our d value is -2. Okay, and usually because this is our y-intercept. Okay, so we already found d ahead of time. Now the hardest part is probably finding what A, B, and C are. So we're going to use systems of equations to help us figure that out. So I'm going to write some space down here. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to use each one of these points. Okay, but let me rewrite this structure one more time, but this time with -2 as d. So here's our structure again. So we have p of x is equal to ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx minus 2. Okay, so now I'm going to use that first point. So we have p of -1 is equal to -3. So again, if you're like, I'm not sure how to read this, I'm not sure, like this notation, I get confused every time. Again, the way you read this is, think of this as your input. Your input when x is -1, your output is -3. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to substitute this into our equation. So right here, so our output is -3. And then we don't know what a is, but we know our input is -1. So we're going to substitute -1 into the equation, which is what I have here, plus c times -1 minus 2. So then we have now -1 to the third power is we'll get a negative a, we'll get a plus b minus c minus 2, and bring this down, -3. We want to get all of our variables to one side. So I'm going to remove my constant term. So plus 2. So then these will cancel, and I get -1 is equal to -a plus b minus c. And this right here is our first equation. So I'm going to highlight this. This is our first equation. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to try the second one. So I have the second point. So the second point is P1 equal to -1. So you do the same thing, essentially. I'm not going to walk through that, but what you'll get is, I'll just set it up so you can see it. But essentially you substitute the point in and figure that out from there. So when you do that, you should get -1 is equal to, let's see, -1 is equal to a times 1 to the third plus b times 1 squared plus c times 1 minus 2. And then your final answer should equal to this when you simplify. Okay, so that's our second equation. Oops, I didn't mean to draw a line. I meant to highlight. So that's our second equation. Okay, and you do it one more time for this last point. So we have P of 2 equals 6. Oops, go back to purple. P of 2 equals 6. So when you do the same thing, you have your output as 6, and then you substitute, and you should have a 2 to the third power plus b times 2 to the second power plus c times 2 minus 2. And when you do that and you simplify, you should get something that looks like this. I'll work this one out a little bit more. 8a plus 4b plus 2c minus 2. And what you'll get is, at the very end, when you move this constant, you'll get 8 is equal to 8a plus 4b plus 2. You'll notice that you can simplify this further. They all can be divisible by 2, or 2c. They can all be divisible by 2, so then we can simplify that further. And then you'll get 4 is equal to 4a plus 2b plus c. And that is our last equation. Okay, and so, oops, make it stop, okay. So, okay, great. So we're gonna set up a systems of equations for this time 1, 2, and 3 systems, or 3 equations, right? So the way you would set this up is you would kind of draw the little brackets here. And so you have -1. I'm going to write this differently, where this is like this. So I'm going to write it, basically I'm going to write the equal sign on the other side. So we have -a plus b minus c equals -1. And then I have a plus b plus c equals 1. And then I have 4a plus 2b plus c equals 4. Okay, and all you do for systems of equations, remember systems of equations, all you're really doing for this one is that you're gonna do a process of elimination, figuring out what are your a values. So I'm gonna subtract, I'm gonna call this system 1, system 2, or not a system, but like equation 1, equation 2, equation 3. So I'm going to subtract equation 1 from equation 2. So I can do a plus b